Instead of seeing them, you'll see them. All right, let me see. So you're saying pull it up here.
I don't know what happened. I thought they turned it on, so I would fuck it.
Why is she always done two? These are going so.
You can't open a document.
Can't open this computer, and this computer is my presenting computer to throw things up there, but I'm seeing if I can throw it up on mine. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay, can you do me a favor? So
I see your.
Go in.
You're good.
if you could go in, it's a 0. Five copies of the presentation. There's 2. Pictures and the presentation. She's gonna go print them out, so y'all have them. Because it's not gonna go up on the screen. She's gonna go print them out, what you sent me, because it's not. We have a major technical. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the meeting. She's gonna print them out. Because I can't, I mean, I made you a presentation and everything yesterday, and this, for some reason, this has died.
Okay, let me, can I start the meeting now?
Give me 1 second. Pull y'all up. I don't know why you're not pulling it up. You're not there. Well, at least we are recording, so they just won't be able to see y'all. But yes, you can start the meeting because we are recording.
I'm gonna open the meeting, first ad hoc committee meeting to address mapping as requested by the town commission. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
What I'd like to do is have everybody introduce themselves. This is a new group of individuals. When we put the committee together, we try to get a cross section of new older residents, older in terms of people being here for years, and members of the ARPD, younger families, older families, so we'd be representative of the core district. The focus is on the core district. Greg, you want to say a little bit, something about that in terms of what the commission requested?
So I can go into that a little bit. I don't know if you want to.
Opposed to
Yeah, do introduction and follow the agenda.
Well, thank you. We need to swear in the members.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And I'm swearing you in as ad hoc committee members for the massing. Gary Cantor, Billy Koch, Tom Smith, Michael Glennon, and Chairman Paul Lyons.
So on the order thing. So Gary, why don't we start with you? Just a few comments. How long have you been here? Where you live? So I'm not sure everybody knows each other. Just take a moment.
Sure, I'm Gary Cantor. I moved to Gulfstream, I believe it was 2015, it could have been 2014. Lived at 528 Palm Way with my wife. We have a 24-year-old son and a 4-month-old daughter. So kind of spread out a little bit. Previously I had lived in in Ocean Ridge. So I have been in the area for quite some time. And, you know, Paul had mentioned this to me and it sounded pretty interesting. But the experience that I had when we had bought an old house and realized that there were enough problems that we needed to build a new house, it's something that I think I talked to Paul about. And he said that could be interesting.
Thank you. And Mr. Koch, who's been here for a while.
Yeah, Bill Koch, I was born in Gulfstream, born in the core area in 1951. And I've basically lived here since 1951 in Gulfstream. Go way back, probably today not the oldest in the age resident, but I might be the youngest resident. Whatever that was. I don't share.
Well, it'll be very helpful perspective. And you're on Middle Road?
Yeah, Middle Road, 543 Middle Road. Originally, my dad built a house in 3211 North Polo Drive, and it was all polo fields on the west side of Polo Drive, all the way back down to the Gulfstream Golf Club. And then around 1963, I have right here, which I do. And they dug all the canals in the southern polo field in there, of which I live on one of them now. My dad built a house, Golfview Drive, Golfview Drive, I think it was in 63. And I've lived there until his death.
Thank you. Tom Smith?
Billy was born in Delray instead of Gulfstream, but I have lived here my whole life. I have a home on 1122 North Ocean Boulevard, and I've been in it for 31 years. I've been as active as I could be in the town. I've been on the architecture review board off and on a few times, on the town commission for a short stretch. Have a real fondness for the town, and I'm anxious to be on this committee.
Thank you, Tom. Michael?
Yeah, Michael Glennon. I originally, I guess, became familiar with Gulfstream and moved down here part-time when my dad bought a condo in El Portillo in 2001. Just started coming down as a kid, spending time in Gulfstream, really fell in love with the community. My wife and I had been living in New York and then Connecticut for more or less my professional career before being offered a job to move down to Florida in 2019. Took that and moved down to Gulfstream full time in 2019. We now live at the corner of Lakeview Gulfstream at 101 Lakeview Drive. We have a 5-year-old who's in pre-K, or almost 5-year-old who's in pre-K at Gulfstream, and a 1-year-old who's hopefully a future Gulfstream student. Absolutely love the community, love the town, care deeply about it, both independent of living here, just based on family legacy, your family. And so very excited to be part of this and really lead to some good results for the families.
Thank you. Susie and I, my wife, we bought our house on Polo Drive, 2006, 2007. We bought what I would call a very traditional Bermudian one-story house. we've had the opportunity to totally redo it over the years. So we've sort of kept the character of the house, some minor revisions, and moved it to it. I've been involved, as Tom has, with the Architect Review and Planning Board, as well as Town Commission. And the subject of massing has been a concern of mine and others. And so the mayor asked that I head up this committee. And I think we have a great group. This should be a very collaborative process. Put anything on the table. We're gonna have to make some hard decisions. If we're gonna be able to accomplish the task. I have some materials that we're gonna be using, but we're a little delayed here.
Yes.
Are they printing them out?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna change the order in which this meeting is being run. I want to go to this red book. I was going to do this at the end, but let's do it now.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I could just go over some preliminary things. We do have a number of our members who are new representatives of the town, so just wanted to go over sunshine and public records.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind. All right, thank you. So, to those of you who have not served on the Gulfstream board before, you're a public body appointed by the town commission, in this case to review a specific issue. Because of that, the sunshine law and public records law applies to you in your position as a member of the ad hoc committee. The sunshine law requires that meetings of boards or commissions are open to the public. So here we are in the public. Reasonable notice of meetings must be given, which was done consistent with the town code. And the minutes of the meeting must be taken, which is Renee, our town clerk's responsibility. It's important to remember that the sunshine law applies not only when we're meeting here, but any gathering of 2 or more members of the same board to discuss some matter which will foreseeably come before that board for action. So outside of this room, no 2 of you can speak to each other about things that we're talking about in these meetings, because all discussions must be in the sunshine. Again, notice, open to the public, and minutes being. This only applies to 2 members of the same board, so the same prohibition does not apply to discussion with other residents, town staff, any members of the town commission. And for those of you who are not on the ARPB, you can speak to other members of the ARPB that are not a member of this board. As appointed members of a public board, the public records law also applies. It provides that any records made or received by any public agency in the course of its official business be made available for inspection and copying. So just by way of example, if you email the town manager in your capacity as a resident, that communication can be inspected and copied by anyone for any purpose. So the same now applies to you. If someone is to send you a letter or email directed to you because of your role as a member of the ad hoc committee, that is a public record that would be open and available for inspection and copying. So just please be aware that you're responsible for maintaining those letters, and they can be shared with the board if they seek to address a particular topic, forwarded to the town clerk so she has a copy of that and she can just file it appropriately, or maintained by you in accordance with the town's records retention policy. So, if you are getting emails or have a file that you can throw those in regarding your ad hoc committee, you would just need to, keep those, not delete them. And then if you have any need for any additional information on this topic, if you are getting a number of emails or receiving correspondence from individuals, please reach out to Renee or myself to go over, sort of what your responsibilities are and how long those records would need to be maintained. Typically, we're just going to have you forward us a copy, and then you can delete those because you would have a copy of all those records. Finally, I spoke to the Florida Commission on Ethics, and they confirmed that you as ad hoc committee members are not required to file a financial disclosure because you are only making land use recommendations to our planning board, not directly to our commission, not making any final decisions. You have not been authorized to spend any funds in excess of category 2 of section 287.0174 statute, which is $35,000. So just to get all those matters out of the way, if you have any questions about any of that, please let me know. Obviously, our ARPD members are still required to file a Form 1, but those of you who are not on the ARPD, just being a member of the ad hoc committee is not subject to those. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So what you have in front of you is what, the design manual of the town of Gulfstream. This design manual was drafted back, approximately what, 99, something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And let me read why the design manual was first put in place. Prior to the adoption of this design manual, the established residential patterns were being threatened by a phenomenon as mansionization, which is affecting older communities with rapidly escalating property values. Mansionization is characterized by existing structures being demolished to make room for larger, more elaborate houses. This has the potential to destroy the unique character and scale of the town. And go on further, Gulfstream is an inviting town characterized by single-family homes with lush, well-maintained landscaping, extensive outdoor recreational opportunities. I think that to characterize the town as understated is a good way of describing it. So this manual is the guide to try to preserve the uniqueness of the town of Gulfstream. Let me take you, I'm going to quickly take you through how it's organized. So if you go to, I'm going to definitions, bear with me. Go to Article 2, which is not the way I had it. Sorry. Article 4. So Article 2 is going to be on. It's 7026. Yeah. If you go to, look in the upper right hand corner. Let me see. I apologize for this, but it's important. You can see how complicated this is. I'll be there in the text.
70-27, before upper right hand corner.
Single, okay, so, it's 7027,
Right hand corner.
thank you. Can you find it? Got it. Gary, did you find it?
Yeah.
And Bill, did you find it?
Yeah.
I thought this was gonna be easier to take you through and counter.
So you guys are in the lower corner, upper right hand corner is what you want.
Okay.
70-27.
So the way this manual is constructed, it is broken up into, the town was broken up into districts. It would be residential districts, recreational districts, etc. We're focusing on the residential, single family districts. is the term. And within the single family districts, if you turn the page, you'll get the 7028. And there's something called the Gulfstream Core District. You see that? Yes. You can continue, you'll see, and it's a description of the core district, and then you'll see description of the other districts. For the purposes of an ad hoc committee, you don't need to spend too much time on that. Okay? So then the next section I want you to take you to is what are the sections that really govern this whole massing issue? And it's going to be under this section called site development regulations. So look at the upper right-hand corner, 7068. And you'll see that effective lot, that's just a definition, but lot size, the dimensional requirements, turn to the next page. I'm not going to go through each of these sections, but I just want to highlight them. You have something called the floor area ratios, which probably is the biggest driver of massing, in my opinion. And as you go through this, there's a lot of detail. Kind of flip through, and then we get into setbacks, and that's on 7073. Setbacks from the front, side, rear, and et cetera. And I'm going to hand out this. You just need one there. Okay? And you can send it down. So what you'll see is at the bottom of the page, under site development regulations, floor area calculation. You'll turn the page and you'll see that floor area ratios, setbacks. So those sections are the ones that impact massing. I mean, these are the predominant sections. When you get into architectural standards, that's Article 5. Building form, roof design, slope materials. Next one down, roof and eave heights. Obviously, heights are part of the issue. So this is the document that governs how the town applies town filters applications to build homes. How big can you build it? Is the starting point in terms of square footage and then height, setbacks, etc. So I'd like you to, for the next time we meet, having gone through that so you're familiar with it, you don't need to spend too much time on a lot of it. Just focus on those areas. Okay, where are we in?
I have it up.
Oh, good. I didn't notice. Okay, so we're sort of going backwards here. But this is kind of your choose expression for your homework. So the next time we're going to be discussing those sections. Okay, so why we're here. New development and residential teardowns are increasingly being replaced by much larger oversized homes. This is some language taken from another town, how they describe the issue of massing, but it applies here. So I'm not the author, I'm just reading from the else book. The adverse impacts resulting from developing these oversized homes is particularly intense in smaller lots, which afford little room for buffers. These excessively large homes are out of character with the long-established neighborhoods. Overcrowded properties have diminished the privacy afforded to adjacent property. Until recently, dwelling sizes were proportionate to lot size. I think that's a key proportion. Our market forces and desirability combined to alter this stark building pattern to the point where larger size homes traditionally built on large lots are being built on small lots. There's concern of newly constructed homes in established neighborhoods looming over the neighbors and invading privacy. Okay, what are the goals of the committee? Preserve the historic character of the district. I'll print these out. Preserve property values by maintaining historic character of the district. Those are two different thoughts. When we get into the FAR, there's a tension between FAR and property values. Some people would say that you increase the property value, thank you, of your home because you have more FAR. Yes, and there's an isolated comment, it's probably right, but it applies in this very unique core district. I don't think that's true. I think what creates the value here in the core district is uniqueness of the character. So a new structure should not exceed the average vertical rhythm of the area. Just a thought. New additions to existing structures should conform to the architectural style by matching the rhythm of the existing structure. We need to protect the light, air, privacy, and neighboring properties. And we need to encourage and sanitize homes that are more proportionate to the size of the lot. By the way, I would ask if your view of massing is different. We discussed it today, but next meeting, this is more of an informational meeting. Let's agree on what the issue is. I think this is the issue. And I think our goal should be but we'll probably need to blow that out. Okay. So now let's move into how we can conduct this process. So I came up with a mission statement, develop recommendations to address massing and future renovations for construction of new homes in the core district. Okay, process. Identify and review sections of code that impact massing. We just did that. Okay. So what intelligence are we going to collect? Input from members of the ad hoc committee, town staff, residents, consultants, the city and town planning experience. Greg will talk through that shortly. Architects, developers, I think, and research how other similar communities have addressed massing. I alluded to the village of Southampton, some of those comments there. Develop a broad list of options with pros and cons. What changes we would want to consider. Finalize recommendations on the revisions to the design manual code. And the chair of the ad hoc committee present recommendations to the ARPD, who in turn will present it to the commission. Timeline on bi-monthly meetings and finalize the recommendation by May 30th. So that's, and you printed all this out?
Yes, you can pass one more over to
Okay,
Michael.
Great, thanks. Everybody has that. So any suggestions on what I just laid out are welcome. I'm sort of just the guy who organizes the meetings. And I need the input from members of the committee. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures I've taken. See how this works. Move it.
Yeah.
You have to make it smaller so it's on the page. And we'll do it.
Okay, so, that's it. So what you see there, oops, I like that.
Sorry. User error. Why is it doing this?
We've done. That's good enough.
All right.
What you see there is the second floor dominates everything, well, it dominates the upper part of that lot, as opposed to a canopy. Go to the next one that you just had. You can see the difference. We have air, light, sky, a lot of vegetation. And imagine that streetscape if we put up two-story homes on all these properties. Be radically different. Let's go through, I'm just gonna illustrate other. That's adjacent to a one-story house, and then behind that, you can see there's two buildings to the south of that that are very tall. Again, the two-story house. You can see how it dominates. Two-story house. See how open all that is? I know this meeting was done, let's go through it quickly. Again, sky, vegetation, air. Same thing. That's two adjacent properties with all vegetation that when we develop, most of that goes, unfortunately. Open sky. Opposite. So enough of that. So I think we all appreciate the distinction. And this is not to condemn two-story houses. We could build any of these homes that we built, but it's a recognition that you have sort of masculinization included. Before you know it, you wake up and the whole district will be very different. And I guess the question I would leave with all of you is, what do you want this whole district to look like in 30, 40, 50 years? And the decisions we make today will have something to do with that. Okay, let me look at my agenda here. I think that covers how I wanted to get into this. I think we defined what the massing is, the concerns, some of our goals, the sections of the code we need to look at that would drive future development. I think important is the input side from residents, consultants. And on that subject, Greg, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the consultants that you've been looking at?
Sure, and as I mentioned to the ARPB, Mr. Coulter made some recommendations to the staff in terms of consultants that might be able to help us as a third party. And so I did have quite a long conversation with one who's a developer. He's an urban designer, has a firm in Miami. They do work all over the United States. He was intrigued by the effort that we're making here. In fact, said if Gulfstream come up with some kind of a solution to massing, we would be invited to every planning, state planning meeting that there was, and be able to present our findings. He seemed intrigued by it, but I think his plate is full, so he gave me some other recommendations. Trey and I did meet with one of those. His name is Dana Little. He's an urban design director for the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. And we did ride on the golf cart for about 3 hours through the core area, going house by house. He was very impressed by what Gulfstream has done already. So, but we did, and I did discuss all of the things that the chairman just discussed and issues that we probably need to address. And I think he's interested, he just was not able to be here today. The nice thing about him is he does have a background in urban design and planning, but his degree is in architecture. And so as we drove through the neighborhood, I mean, he's got this piece of paper out here, he's drawing building forms, in his mind, how can we begin to address this? And because we do have a fairly large number of houses that have the wedding cake design, and that was because of the construction of some houses that didn't have that. And so I think that's more of a recent amendment to our code. But I'm just writing down some things that I think we should try to have our consultant look at, and a lot of them are what Mr. Lyons spoke of. I have building form, setbacks, FAR, effects of landscaping on this massing, the effects of massing again on air and light, the tunnel effect. And actually, I wrote this down. I don't know. In my 40 years of city management, I've never heard of this, but I don't know if any towns have developed development requirements for individual lots. I mean, that's kind of far reaching, and I don't know if that's legal or not, but it might be something that we're actually, it's almost like designing a community. And in fact, that may be, something that, I mean, Treasure Coast is there to assist towns and cities. That's the name.
Let's stop there for a second. Would you do me a favor, Renee? Would you bring up the photos again? Because on individual lots, particularly the corner lots, and I'm going to try to bring up Mrs. Mayor's house, which is at the end of Polo and Golfview, and it's on the southeast side. And
Northeast,
It's the northeast corner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta find it. I can stop there, it's right there. Okay, so you put up a large house on that corner, it's gonna make a real big difference. Keep going up. I'll give it to you.
Billy, do you know, is it that lot visible?
No, I don't think of it. I think it's a platted lot, it's a false, but again, it's there, it's locked
It's a big
in.
one. You could build it very hard.
It's a big lot, it always has been.
And I believe any lots in the core would be able to be subdivided with our.
Right, right.
You keep going, I'll tell you when to stop. Thank you. Okay, and by the way, go back to the other one. That is a house that was built that subsequently we realized that form was an important part of massing. I don't know what it really shows in the picture, but it's basically walls going straight up. And so that makes it look very massive. And while architectural design can cope with the massing, it doesn't, in my opinion, fix it. So, but that's why you saw it in the architectural list of sections in code.
And so I was up, if I'm not mistaken, I think wasn't that house? Smith, you probably remember, one of them that kind of triggered.
Yes.
Yeah, Mrs. Keys.
Yeah, the Keys house, it's been there since.
Yeah, that really triggered a lot of issues, because there were some walls that were 2 stories straight up flat, maybe
Right.
some windows, and that's probably one of them right there.
That-
kicked off
that
a lot
is-
of conversations.
On the corner.
Right. Well, the other thing you mentioned, not only that, we also have a problem of the height in the whole core, the FEMA district in the height, so you guys all need to know, it's not only that, but everything new needs to be at 7.5 feet maybe.
Yeah,
And if you go 2 stories above that, that's creating a real This is maybe one of the big issues, making it even seem taller than it is under the code.
Actually, it's 8 feet.
8 feet. Yeah, so.
I'm glad you reminded me, because that's a key driver that complicates this very
It's
discussion.
complicated.
The seawalls too are going up, the tide's coming up since I was a child here. And the street, some of the streets are going down,
Right.
so, the water's gonna dictate.
So the town did amend our code to allow a maximum height of 8 feet.
Seawalls, when is that, which
I'm sorry.
code, NA or, I mean, there's two different versions, remember we
It's-
swap back and forth.
Right, but it's the one that we've been using.
Oh.
ABD.
Okay, okay.
But we're consistent using the same one.
It's NGVD.
Yes, okay, thank you.
NGVD.
Yeah, it's a new way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So a 2-foot spread.
And that's correct. The FEMA is even already considering raising the finished floor elevations as we speak. So I think the best example of one that we just approved was on 3400 Polo. I think, can't remember, did we approve 7 or 8? I think, I can't remember. But that's, that's a good example of a lot that could have some impact on the neighborhood residents if it's built at 8 feet. But the other thing that I've written down here are, of course, incentives to build 1-story houses or incentives to build 2-story houses at maybe amended type zoning requirements. And these again are things that I would hope that our consultant would keep in mind as he looks at a neighborhood. I was quite surprised before we met with him. He had already looked at our code book and again, made some comparisons to other codes that he was familiar with. So again, those are items that I would hope that the consultant would help us with.
The issue on the height of buildings is that, as Tom referenced, the FEMA, the lot on Polo Drive, they're gonna be 3 feet higher than the street. Is that correct? Something like that.
Yes.
And so, but the height, the roof height is dictated from the first floor elevation, not from the street. So what's happening is that we had a height limit, but it was from the first floor elevation, but because of FEMA, the first floor elevation keeps going up. And some of the people who are building homes want to even go more than 3 or 4 feet. And then you get this tension, because now from the street, the house is even that much higher. And so one of the things we could consider is you want to build not from the street level 3 feet, but 4 feet, go ahead. But then we're going to take 1 foot from height limit. And you just have to, because these houses, the second floors have very high ceilings as in the first floors, under our code, right? I mean, they're pretty sizable.
So we don't regulate that, but we do regulate eave height for first and second story structures, and that does somehow limit.
Yeah, but still, you get good size
And I think
height in all these. I mean, our code allows pretty big room and a pretty high ceiling. So those are the things we have to look at. So Tom is right, the FEMA thing is really.
Yeah, a quick question on that is, when you're talking about, I know what you're talking, water's coming up, everybody's going up, and want to come down. And some of that can be addressed basically through architecture, engineering and design. Yes, everybody likes, not 8-foot ceilings anymore. They're 10, 11, or 12 foot, and on the second floor, same thing. And you were talking about the eaves of the heights. you can scissor the truss. We have truss, the traditional way we all build your house, my house, and the rest of them, and sometimes some of us, have had our trusses. People in town, they scissor them, so they get height within. That by doing that, in my knowledge, from the architect, you can keep the outside of the house lower to the ground. The inside is really getting taller, and you have the eaves and everything, and it works. And a lot of people are doing that, and you might want to address that. Another thing that's good, and when like the Orthwine house, we'll talk to old Jimmy Orthwine's house across the corner of Gulfview and Polo Drive on the northwest quadrant. The style of that house, the old, whatever it is, French, real tall peaks, roofs on it. And now they go way up, as you pointed out, that was a concern. Well, the architectural style of the house, a lot of the Bermuda style homes, you can cut off the top couple feet of the point. I mean, I can show you pictures. From the street level, the house is considerably lower, and architecturally, it actually looks sort of better because it doesn't have all that mass. So I think that can be addressed through engineers and a good architect.
And that's, really, that's where we're at. That's why we're having these.
Yeah, okay.
And by the way, I'm glad you volunteered, I'm glad you're with us, that's very helpful. And it's, I don't know if you fully understood what Bill said, I think I did, but if we could try to translate it in the, just take some notes on that. Okay, let's continue to go through the pictures. I
I want to correct that misspoke. Anything over 15 feet ceiling height would count as double. Is that indicated that we didn't already say that?
Is that reference inside the home? So you have a bottom ceiling, like an open tube floor. I know the town
Correct.
has that. I remember when I built my existing house, that was part of the, I don't know how that helps or hurts what you're doing. Okay.
what we're doing.
We are doing, right, exactly.
Keep going, I'll tell you, I just want to get to some, now there's a corner, and that's on Gulfstream and Banyan. And there's the house in the background is my brother's, the one to the left you can't see is a one-story house. And, I'm going back to Greg's comments about what happens on certain lots. You put a major house there, it's gonna absolutely change. And directly across, if you keep going, I'll show you, right there. That's the other corner, that's on the east side of that house. That's one of the old polo cottages. If you put two big houses, I mean, it's gonna radically change it. So back to under the tent, that could, Greg, they got this off subject, but that's, talking about individual lots, I think we can put anything on the table and then try to, tell us where we might get in trouble.
And I'm thinking of like planned communities, they may have certain restrictions on individual lots. I'm not sure. But I think that's, I mean, if we're gonna get this specific, like Mr. Lyons, he's showing individual lots and what could happen if, this happens next to that house. And so if we want to try to look at our codes, that specific, in that detail, I'm not sure that we can do that. So,
Well, we can talk about, we do have some differences on corner lots, do we not?
We do, and I was just sitting here thinking that our zoning code is absolutely a thing of beauty. Nothing that's coming through in the future will ever look like it because of state preemptions. We have something that is it's like a time capsule that exists, and we were able to use it. And it does differentiate between corner lots, because if you're on a street and you have a different setback, things like that. You know, we have changed over the years to, in response to some developments that the community did not like. And now we're getting homes like you see, and I don't mean to call anyone out, but just as a way, an example, 530 Old School, a lot of you may be familiar with that. If you are standing at the road at Old School, your eye level is at their finished floor elevation, because it is very low on Old School. The road is low. And that's just how, due to FEMA regulations, it's had to come up. That is very consistent with what our changes over the years have required. That is a two-story structure that has a maximum of 50% of the FAR on the second floor, and it is set back at least 15 feet on either side of the second story. So you have kind of the wedding cake tier. That was also what you saw across from the Masdios and next to Katie Orthwein's house on Gulfstream Road, another large house that was a demo and build, where you have, again, FEMA regulations that come in and require it to be built a little bit higher, two-story structure, 15-foot setback with 50% on the second story. So if you're curious about what the zoning changes have done over the years, that is really consistent with what we're seeing. Not that it's all cookie cutter, but it is sort of pushing us in that direction. So in talking with Dana Little, the contractor from the state, the local planning agency that Greg was talking about, said that it's a beautiful house, but if you move the center massing in different places, how would that impact massing or the community's feelings about the aesthetics? So there's a lot we can do, but I just want to acknowledge that our zoning code is absolutely breathtaking in its application of what we're able to build in town. And I know Mr. Cantor actually built a single-story home with his demo in the core, as did a spec home next to Mr. Lyons. So it's not to say that we are certainly going to see a lot of two-story builds when we have seen both an end user and a spec build looking at a single story.
You continue to flip through the pictures. We referred to you. That's on the corner, by the way, go back to that. If you don't mind, sorry.
This one?
The Graziano house, that one. So that's a prominent corner. And across the street is a new two-story house. And talking about a canyon effect. And again, I mean, look at it. You have an air, sky, vegetation. The dominant perspective is openness. And this will absolutely change. Our streets are narrow, and we want them now. So this is the challenge. We have to create incentives. The house next to me that Trey referred to, Seaside built, originally it was a one-story house. And they tore it down and built a brand new house, and they got a lot of square footage in the house. I've been in it. It's a very nice house. I think the term incentive, let's create incentives that towards people. Gary, I know one of the things I found appealing about your experience was you started with a two-story house, right?
Yeah, so I think what happened is originally the architect looked and said you could build a 5,400 square foot two-story house and started working on it. And then I think he was probably using the code from before you had the wedding cake or something. And he said, no, the most we can do is 4,400. And we always wanted a one-story house, but we didn't want to be here forever. So we wanted to at least get enough value out of it. At that point, we just said, well, how big can we build a one-story? And when they calculated, it was basically exactly the same. So to me, I wonder, like, if, not like set up different parameters for each lot, but if a consultant or if the town planner or somebody has the ability to say, with the current code, what can you do in a two-story house and what can you do in a one-story house? And if it's pretty close in most lots, which I have no idea if it is or not, I mean, I think, at least I would much prefer a one-story. If somebody, and at that point, if that doesn't quite get there, if like some of the lot next to mine, I think it's Cassiopo, which was the first lot there, that's only a 3,500 square foot house. It looks like a 5,000 square foot house because it's close to the road. So maybe it's something where a setback or something for a two-story house could be a little bit further than one story. So whether you move the one story up a little bit and the two story back a little bit, if you can get the majority of the lots to be where you've got a one story house as big or bigger than a two story house, it may solve some of the problem without really doing much in the way of damage. So it'd be great. I just would love to see like how much, what could be available on most lots today and how big of a difference it is. It could be that the interior lot is totally different.
So then let me suggest for the next meeting, because I think we'll include this meeting in 3-4 minutes. And try to keep it to an hour. We can certainly go longer if everybody wants to. Review the code. And again, I was focused on the sections that are highlighted. It doesn't preclude you from thinking outside the box and think about other ways of trying to manage massing, but I think they probably fall in these sections. Any thoughts or suggestions? You both made some suggestions. The other thing on the process that I laid out, if you think there's a better way of approaching this tax, please, just comment at the next meeting. I think input from third parties is always important. So if anybody's got a suggestion or architect, anybody who is a resident or a neighbor and you think they might be interested in hosting the come. So just look at the process I laid out. It's a working process. If you think we should approach it differently, please don't hesitate. So today, again, it was mostly informational. I'm sorry for the sort of missteps of the order in which I did that. Yeah, please.
So, I was a town manager in Alpine, 9 years, from 2008, I can't remember. But it was during the 2010 decade. And I know everybody's driven down A1A. When you get to Manalapan, you can see what they call Point Manalapan. The way you get there is you go out, remember the road, but it's the road by the O or the bridge. Yeah, you're going on into Lantana. And you get to that stoplight, you turn south, and that gets you to Point Manalapan. But if you're driving down A1A, it was a nice combination of single stories and two stories. It's not like that. I mean, you drive down there, these one stories, I know there's many one stories that have been built, now converted into two-story homes. And I've recently been down on Point Manalapan, their library down there. And I mean, the main road that goes through Point Manalapan, I was just amazed because it's all two-story homes. And if you want a picture of the effect that has, as you're driving down the road, I would suggest that you do that. It's a public road. There is a guardhouse there, but it's a public road. So, but it's all converted many one stories and two-story homes. So,
I mean, we're not thinking that we're gonna say we don't want two-story homes anymore, are we?
I'd like to leave that as an open.
Right.
Everything should be, we should debate that. I'm not suggesting that we should go there, but we should that's something we should consider, pros and cons, but let's not just dismiss it. Okay, and maybe it's, on a particular lots, and whether we do it, let's just start broadly and then eliminate things that we can't do legally, that are practical. I think we should, instead of,
Well, with the price of, Billy would know, the price of those lots today is so large that I don't think you want to make it, I think a lot of times they're forced to 2 stories to get as much value as they can out of a very expensive lot. So we would need to find a way to make a 1-story house of equal value with a 2-story house, what Gary said. And so maybe if we work towards that, people won't be pushed to the second story. You don't want to build a 33,000 square foot house on a $5 million lot.
People won't pay for it.
People won't do it.
And then your tax base, you're gonna have to cut
so
some taxes in
you
half.
just define the goal, which is to create the incentives for people to keep 1 story.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Without hurting themselves.
So how we get there is the task. I will say that the good news is that while, I showed you pictures of what might, where we are today and what could happen down the road. A significant part of the, I'll call it redevelopment, or renovations have remained 1 story. So Seaside comes in, the Sandy's wants to make as much money as anybody. And he built on spec, a 1-story home. Fred Sauer bought, what Ken's house on Butcher Road built.
Right.
Middle
On
Road,
the road, yeah.
and they love the house.
Well, it's a huge lot. It's a huge lot.
Gary built a lot.
10,000 is a big house, yeah. And his is 100 by 165 feet, 5 feet in the water. Whereas on Art Street, it's 100 by 55, but 5 feet in the water. I'm just saying.
I think we're 140.
No, you're one in there. Yeah, well, I think you're 165. I'm correct.
Directly west of Fitzalbert is a new house and it's a 1-story. So
They designed an old house. They took Dr. Luke's house.
oh, and they didn't tear it down?
No, they gutted the whole thing and they were rebuilding it for, several years.
But they spent a lot of money on it, and they
Oh,
could have very well built a 2-story.
Very, very well. They could, and that's a 150-foot lot.
So, I hear the properties are expensive, but people still build 1-story houses. And I know I can be guilty of being redundant, but the unique character is what ultimately I think leads to value over time. Otherwise, we're not gonna be able to distinguish the core district from other.
Paul and Greg, is there any chance by the next meeting, is there someone in the town that is easy to calculate for a sampling of lots? What the maximum 1-story and the maximum 2-story, for example?
Yeah, so I was gonna address that because I'm not aware of anything that would make that calculation different. You are able to maximize your lot to say 5,000 square feet, doesn't matter if it's a 1-story or a 2-story. The floor area ratio is so low that, setbacks, you would be able to build a 1-story to the full FAR, just like you would a 2-story. So what you're saying, I'm not really familiar with, in all of our applications, a 1-story versus a 2-story would have the same square footage.
On all lots.
On all lots, yes.
So by the way, on the FAR, I did a calculation based on my property here. I did a calculation, not using Gulfstream Town Code in terms of FAR. I used the village of Southampton. And I only can build 3,200 square feet here based on the village of Southampton. Now, Gulfstream, I can build 51, 52. So it's, FAR is generous versus the village of Southampton. That's just one reference point, but that's another item we obviously will have to look at, because that's kind of a little bit available. Right. And I'm not suggesting we reduce it, but I mean, we have to debate it, pros and cons.
You know, and a quick thing you're talking about, I understand what you're saying. But I've been, looking from a distance, some of the photos up here and the character of this town when I was a child, where they were all polo barns, and they were all polo cottages, and they're all built out of wood. And most of them are rotted down by now. And when you look, especially good representation, get our old school road and Banyan Road there, like the northeast quadrant there, that nice little house, I've sold it a couple times over the years. It's an old polo cottage, as the other one is heading towards A1A. And I don't know when they would go, I mean, it's the 40s or the 30s or something. That's right on the dirt. I remember that house with, before all the pumps, full of water. And the picture of looking over the house towards his brother's house, that whole area is low in there, and the houses were built at a lower elevation. Your brother's house, I guess, came later, and it was built up a little bit higher. But all those most of them are below deck now. And you're gonna have to, they are gonna go up in the air. Whether they're one-story houses, it's gonna look so different, like if we build a new house on that one corner there, or the one south of your brother's house, or the two south of your brother's house on the corner, they're gonna look so much bigger, even if they are a one-story house, because they're gonna be going up several feet.
Well,
And you aren't gonna be able to change that.
so
I don't think.
So you go to 2 stories, it's even worse, right? The house next to me, the new house,
Yes.
from my, let me get this right, east corner of my house,
Yes.
so the back of my house on the south side.
Mhm.
That property south of it, the new house, is got a wall that's about 3 feet higher. And in terms of light, shade, it doesn't impact us at all. And from the street, it doesn't look that different. It looks a little higher, but not to the point of closing the vista of the sky and landscape. So I really can be redundant, and I'm sort of stuck. I'm
There's nothing wrong with
record.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. We gotta go pros and cons. We gotta work through all this.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody.
We need to set the next meeting date, please.
Oh, yeah. What do you suggest?
Well, you said bi-monthly, but ending by May. Did you mean bi-weekly?
Yeah.
Because bi-monthly would be May.
Oh,
You meant bi-weekly?
that's-
So do you want to do
Select-
the week of April 8th or the week of the April 15th? What works for y'all?
Can you do it before the 15th? Yeah, I gotta leave to go out. So it could be, before the 15th or
So the week of the 8th?
14th or 13th.
What's a good day for y'all?
What are we suggesting? I'm sorry.
What's a good day for y'all?
Good day for me? We'll get it, just on the date, I'll tell you if it's good or not.
The week of the 8th.
Week of the 8th.
Mhm.
I prefer the 8th or the 12th, because I'm trying to find
Okay, the 12th is out because that's a commission meeting.
Yeah, and I can't do the 11th, but otherwise I can do 8, 9, 10.
Is everyone available the 8th, Monday the 8th?
Right, let's do that.
What time? 9 o'clock?
early.
Early? You want to do 8:30?
Good.
Or 8 o'clock?
You could.
You pick it, Tom.
No, the earlier the better. No, 8:30 is fine, I guess.
8:30 on the 8th?
We're only gonna do it for an hour.
Well, we're only gonna do it for now. I think that's fair. We don't really want to do much more than that. And as long as, we're all prepared and organized, then, I think we can get a lot done.
All right, I'll send out a reminder.
In the interim, between meetings, what is the protocol about
sunshine, we can't talk.
You can talk to one another, you can talk to other members that are not a member of your board. You can talk to residents, please talk to staff, you know, if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share for us, bounce ideas off of us. And then just by way of, I know, Mr. Lyons, you indicated that there's some homework for code provisions. Do you have any homework for staff? Should we have a contractor here, or are we still just kind of getting going and we're gonna have a discussion between the board?
Let me sit down with you and see who we're talking about and I'll, you're glad to ask. And we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks. Close the meeting.
Gonna be even older than you are now, so.
Scott.
Thank you.
See you, Tom.
You guys, I'll call you.
This is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.